Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Defaming your opposition. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Even though there is hateful rhetoric on the right, you don't hear many conservative Americans throwing around terms like racist, sexist, homophobic. But on the left, those smears have now become a cottage industry. Enter State Department spokespersons Jen Psaki and Marie Harf, who are disenchanted with me, your humble correspondent. It all began with my criticism of Ms. Psaki, who often does not answer important questions, preferring to dodge and weave.
Does the Obama administration consider this an act of war?
We certainly, I'm not going to put new labels on it, James.
But are American munitions that were given by the U.S. to Egypt, are they actually tools of slaughter? Do we know that one way or the other?
Well, Jake, obviously we're watching every event that's happening on the ground very closely.
I don't want to waste your time or our viewers, but I'll respectfully note you're not answering that question.
Now, because you and I pay Ms. Psaki's salary, and because her job is to answer questions about foreign affairs, I personally get insulted when she or other government officials avoid answering legitimate questions. And so, earlier this week in a discussion with FNC correspondent James Rosen, this happened.
When I asked Jen Psaki today in today's briefing about the apparent contradiction between wanting to destroy something and then wanting simply to reduce it to a manageable problem, she accused me of trying to, quote, twist words and play word games, Bill.
Okay, so but with all due respect, and you don't have to comment on this, that woman looks way out of her depth over there. Just the way she delivers, it just doesn't look like she has the gravitas for that job. Okay, so that's my opinion, and as always, I could be wrong. But I am not wrong about this. The State Department's response was ridiculous.
I think that when the anchor of a leading cable news show uses, quite frankly, sexist, personally offensive language that I actually don't think they would ever use about a man against the person that shares this podium with me, I think I have an obligation, and I think it's important to step up and say that's not okay.
So Ms. Harf is telling the world that I would never, ever say something like that about a man. We'll tell that to White House spokesman Josh Earnest. Yes. Josh Earnest, okay. He looks to me to be befuddled. I mean, Jay Carney, you may not have liked him, but he looked like he understood the process. Mr. Earnest doesn't look like he has a lot of credibility. Is that the buzz in the press corps? I know you got to work with him, and I don't expect you to hammer him, but he just looks uncertain to me. Now, we asked Jen Psaki and Marie Harf to come on the Factor tonight, but they are afraid. I hope that's not a sexist comment, because many men are afraid to come on this program. But the main point here is that smearing people is unacceptable, especially by folks representing the U.S. government. I mean, Ms. Harf didn't just go out there and say that off the top of her head. Secretary of State Kerry had to sign off on it, and it was a foolish thing to do. He should know better. But this is what we're seeing right now in America. Cheap shot alley coming from powerful politicians. Listen to the head of the Democratic National Committee.
Scott Walker has given women the back of his hand. Mm-hmm. And there is no, I know that is stark, I know that is direct, but that is reality. What Republican Tea Party extremists like Scott Walker are doing is they're grabbing us by the hair and pulling us back. And it's unacceptable. And it's not going to happen on our watch.
All right. Now, Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz attacking Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker because she doesn't like his point of view on abortion and other issues. Ms. Wasserman Schultz has now apologized. Kind of. But she's done stuff like that in the past. All Americans should demand that public servants deal with the issues and not embrace the tactics of gutter snipes. Really? Is that too much to ask? And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with us here in New York City. Kathy Arue works for the Washington Post. From Nashville, Tennessee, Scotty Nell Hughes, an executive for the Tea Party News Network. Begin with you, Ms. Hughes. The Tea Party can play kind of rough. Do you use those kind of tactics?
Of course I don't use those kind of tactics. And here's the thing. Even if they want to claim that you were sexist in those comments, which you were not, you were telling the truth. Time and time again, Psaki has sat here and shown that she doesn't know what she's talking about and that she truly is missing gravitas. Let's remember that she did that juvenile stunt last spring about holding up the hashtag in the elevator that shows that she cares more about her Twitter followers than actually answering questions about the State Department. So whether you think people want to say you were sexist or not, you were telling the truth. And sexism is the new cloak by the liberals to sit there and shame any man who's afraid to call out the truth behind Hillary Clinton.
It's an intimidating tactic. Now, Ms. Aru, you see it differently.
I don't think you're a sexist. I think what you said was sexist.
In what way?
Well, I was watching it. I love watching you, and you said that woman. I said, "Oh, that just doesn't sound right."
So that was my mistake.
Well,
that woman.
You never usually say that man. So that woman, and then you said, "Oh, she doesn't seem like she's in the right place."
Yeah,
you said
a little
she's out of her league,
yeah,
out of her,
little overhead.
out of her depth.
But it was that woman that signaled you, and you don't think I say that man.
And then you continued. I said, "Oh gosh, I hope he's not going to go there."
Okay, but I want to stay on that woman, that man. So you're saying that woman was condescending.
That woman.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that about a man.
Oh, I don't know if you have said that about a man. At that moment, I was watching it, and you said that woman.
Yeah, but
I said, "Oh gosh, don't continue. Please don't continue." And you did, and you said she seems a little bit out of her depth.
Well, and she is,
which is a typical statement.
I do want to roll a piece of tape now.
Okay.
About the that woman, that man deal.
Okay.
Go.
That man. Let's see.
So what does it say when the National Broadcasting Corporation's news division gives that man his own program and pays him while he goes to Ferguson to incite whatever happens there? Talking about Al Sharpton. So look,
so
you know, if you watch this program,
yeah.
that everybody gets treated equal. And your problem and your feminist cohort's problem is you don't want to be treated equally. You want special treatment.
Absolutely
yes, you
not.
do.
I am saying you are not a sexist. I am saying this is a teachable moment when you say things.
Teachable moment.
For you, my
Come on,
friend,
that
my
man,
friend.
that woman. It's my opinion.
That man out of her depth is saying she doesn't belong there. She's way out of her depth. Go back to the kitchen. Go back barefoot.
Listen, I didn't say go back to the kitchen.
Basically.
She can go back to the Democratic Party. That's where she came from. She was advising politicians. She clearly doesn't answer the questions. The people covering the State Department don't like her. You must know that.
It was personal. It was
she
a personal
does
attack
lack
on a woman.
She does.
At a time like this,
it wasn't a personal attack on
that.
a woman. It was a criticism of a civil servant who is supposed to be informing the public and isn't. Now, Ms. Hughes, I got to get back to you for a minute. You say you don't use these tactics, but again, I mean, I've seen Tea Party rallies. I mean, you guys get a little rowdy there. I've never seen you use sexism, killing somebody a sexist or a racist or homophobic, I have to say. Maybe you guys have. I haven't seen it. But where does the line come down? I mean, can you personally attack people? I've seen a Tea Party personnel do that.
Well, no, and that's the thing. It's not attacking if it's the truth. And, listen to the ludicrous comments that we've just heard. No offense from your friend there on the stage.
I'm sure she's not taking offense.
No offense taken.
All right,
sure.
Go ahead.
But you're sitting there attacking him for using the word that. Are we really going to be that desperate on the left to sit there and attack a man because he uses a word?
Look, but it comes down to this, and I'm going to give you the last word, Kathy.
Thank you.
There's two things in play. This is an intimidating tactic used by some women, all right, to shut men up for criticizing them. And some people in the civil rights industry do it too, all right? You criticize a black person, you're a racist. Some people in the gay rights industry do it. You criticize us, you're homophobic. It's intimidating, and you know what? It works, but it doesn't work here. Last word.
I feel the word choice was just poor. I think it was a sexist word choice. I was watching as a fan, and I cringed, and it was a cringe-worthy moment, and I feel that you could have made the same point with other words. Wrong
but then I would be treating Ms. Psaki, wait, Ms. Hughes, but then I would be treating Ms. Psaki differently than I treat the White House spokesman, and I'm not going to do it. Cringing at words, you've been doing that for 18 years on The Factor. Everybody does it. But I don't treat anyone differently. Everyone's treated the same. Last word.
Completely, and that's the one thing you have to realize. That is an act of desperation from the left. They're going to try to sit there and basically neuter every man who's afraid to speak out against the Democratic Party, and luckily you guys can handle your own.
All right, go, and your last word for you?
I think it was a poor word choice. I am a fan, but it was a poor word choice.
So now I can't say that anymore. No
more that.
All right, ladies, thanks very much. Next on